going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we going to die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. I'm struggling a little bit, so bear with me for 1 second. It's a little windier outside than I expected. I might have to go in. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this video out here. It is that windy. I was making some content, and so I wanted to hop on and do my review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta premiere. We got the episode, which was a really good episode, I thought. I would love for you guys to put in the chat what your thoughts were, if you liked the episode, or if you could just grade it on a scale of a grading scale. Grade it like a teacher would grade a grading scale. Put that in the comments. I would really appreciate it. I love when you guys do that. But first of all, before we get into all of that, my name is Lindsay. I am the housewife historian. I was just tagged on Instagram, so you can check out my new Instagram, which I will put in the comments. If this wind stops blowing, guys, I might have to take my video inside. A lot of people like when I film outside because you hear the birds. It's so nice out. It's beautiful. And I love to be outside in the summertime. So unfortunately, some people don't like it and other people don't mind so much. So we'll suffer through one more wind storm here. And if it doesn't stop, we'll go inside. Anyways, yes, I've been hacked on Instagram. So I'm now under HW Historian with the number 2. My account was put up for sale for like $800, and that was like on Sunday, but it was actually hacked on Friday. So we're just gonna go like business as usual. I started a new account. If you want to go follow it, you can, and if not, that's okay too. I'm also getting my website all together. It's gonna be lindsayandcompany.com. And I'll get all of that together, the information for you guys, once I have it the way that I want it to be. So you'll be able to find information there as well. I'm going to try to put more of a area of content about myself and my story and my experience, because I really want to start navigating to a different, not a different niche, but I would like to add something that's a little bit more I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say recidivism, but something that is helpful to somebody, basically. I love to help people. So if you guys have any suggestions on things that you wish you heard about on podcasts or YouTubes, or things you would like to know more about, whether it be addiction, the mental health field, dual diagnosis, prison, any of that, I would love to know your thoughts on it. So if you guys could leave that in the comments as well, or you can go on Instagram and DM me. You can email me at housewifehistorian2022@gmail.com. I think that's also listed in my information, my bio. But let's get started on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Oh my gosh, guys. First of all, do you think that we're going to get a good season? I think that we're going to get a good season. Now, I'm going to give you guys the tea right away, just because that's the kind of person that I am and I can't hold it in. Let me back up here. Kim Zolciak filed for divorce from Kroy, right? And allegedly they owe like over $1 million in money to the IRS. Okay, that's a lot of money to owe the IRS. Their house has been in foreclosure twice in the last 6 months. They're getting divorced. She's going to maintain living there. I'm assuming, I don't know what's going to happen with their house. You know, they have a really grand, beautiful mansion. I think they kind of caught a deal. It was on a golf course. You know, they like Bethany Frankel went off on TikTok about it. Basically, like, they've lived this lavish lifestyle that they knowingly couldn't afford. And so she doesn't feel bad. And my prediction in my video yesterday, if you guys watched, not my live, but just my pre-recorded video about Atlanta, I gave a prediction that Kim Zolciak's first phone call after when she learned she was going to be filing for divorce, or when she officially filed for divorce, was going to be Andy Cohen. she was going to be knocking at Andy Cohen's door. Like, I need a job right away. What can you do for me, please? And then today I was scrolling and I noticed that on TV Guru on Twitter, it was posted. So I went and listened to it. But Andy Cohen said on his XM radio show today that he actually has been in correspondence with Kim, not phone, but via text message. Okay. So I did a TikTok and I wanted to ask the viewers, guys, do you want to see Kim Zolciak back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? And remember, we're not going to get like a Kim Zolciak like she was when she got with Croy, who didn't want to film and yada yada yada. Kim's gonna have to be all in. This is like the glory of a housewife that is maybe down on her luck and she needs a paycheck, and Bravo knows it, and they're like, these are the best kinds of housewives because they'll basically go in and do what they got to do because they need their paycheck. There's not going to be any leaving the vacation because she's upset or not showing up to the event. There won't be any of that. Okay, because she'll need the money. She's gonna have to meet her obligation. She's gonna have to stay in good graces. And I really, my prediction is I definitely think they're gonna bring her back. I think Andy Cohen will bring her back. He may not bring her back full time the first year, only because that's how Andy Cohen is. But I think that he has a very soft spot for Kim Zolciak. And I think that everyone could see that by the fact that we like got that other, we got Toddy for the party for another season, and everyone knew that it wasn't really doing very well. So we'll see. Maybe she's trying to set something up for her daughters. They're very young. They're very ambitious. We see them back and forth between LA and Atlanta. Who knows with Kim? But we know that she's going to daddy because things are bad between her and Croy, or she wouldn't be like that with Andy Cohen. And you guys want to know my prediction on the second person that she called? She's probably already been in contact with. His name starts with a B. It sounds something like Big. What was it? Papa. Big Papa. That's what it was. Big Papa. Yeah. I think she's probably done called Big Papa now. Don't y'all think by now? He probably don't want to pay $1 million though for her, because in his mind he's like, Kim, if I give you this $1 million and you pay the IRS, that's going to be helping your husband. That's like me giving your husband $500,000. How about I'll pay your half and your ex-husband comes up with the other half? Who knows? I mean, who knows with these people? It's so wild. We didn't see this coming. They've been married 11 years. They have 4 children together. I mean, we know that they were having financial issues because they were selling everything out of their closets, and the foreclosures on the house 2 different times. But we didn't see the divorce coming, even though we should have. They were married for 11 years. It's a long time to be married. But I think that maybe they didn't always have the healthiest relationship just because they made it 11 years. So anyways, moving on to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I feel like I should do a whole separate video on my review of them because it was I liked it. I really liked production actually showed up this time. They showed up and they had like a good intro for the ladies. The first event was like a Harlem Nights themed event, which is always a good time. It makes for good costumes. The ladies usually show out, especially the ladies in Atlanta. And that's why a lot of times I feel like they kind of get the short end of the stick. They don't get the recognition necessarily that they deserve. They don't get the press. Last year they basically paid for their own like group photo shot because the other one was so old. And even though they were bringing Marlo in, production still didn't want to pay for a photo shoot. So that the ladies ended up coming together and all paying a little bit. Each of them paid an amount and they got their production photo done. But this year it looks like Bravo showed up. So round of applause. Thank you, Bravo, for showing up. It did look nice. The editing in the beginning with the intros of the women, the Harlem Nights, they did like a black and white theme to kind of get you going. And the whole episode overall I thought was pretty good. Some of the things that I really enjoyed about the episode, I love Kenya and I love seeing Kenya happy. And she showed up looking amazing. She was happy. She was giggling. She seemed a lot like herself. like the Kenya that we saw before she became a mother and got with Mark. And so she tells the lady she's actually been dating this gentleman who Candy's friend, and I don't want to say her name wrong. I think it's Moyetta. She actually set up uh, Kenya with this eligible bachelor, okay? And so we don't usually see Kenya take a liking like that to people. So I thought that was really sweet. She said even that he had awoken parts of her she didn't even know was asleep. Like, and if you've ever had that happen, I feel like you're like, oh yeah. But if you're like needing to be woken up, you're like, oh, that would be nice. But yeah, I'm really happy for Kenya. I love that for her. I really wish her happiness. I think she really deserves it. She's one of my favorite housewives. She's definitely a top tier housewife. I did start a series on TikTok. I need to keep my series up, but is on top tier housewives and how the F they got there. And Kenya's had a long road. She had a hard road. She didn't always have it easy. So I'm happy to see her happy. I'm excited to see what she's going to bring. And I wonder if we're going to see this man filming. Now, a couple of other things. I had to take notes. Y'all, that's how. I had to rewatch the opening scene of Sheree and the boyfriend twice. Because if you don't watch it twice, I think you might actually miss something. Oh my gosh, I'm getting hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot going on when he showed up at her house, and like he had just been filming, or he was at a photo shoot. And so she had like a chef who was a very beautiful young woman come to the house to cook dinner for them. And he made the implication that when he saw the young lady, he thought that Sheree had set up a menage a trois for the three of them, but it was a chef. And I kind of felt uncomfortable for the chef a little bit because, like, it seemed like the conversation about the threesome, the menage a trois, like continued on and off throughout their dinner and the filming. And I don't know, like she was sort of like making faces and like kind of going with it, but kind of not. And I don't know if Bravo just kind of edited it that way to make it seem like that. But he definitely mentioned the menage a trois so many times you kind of cringe. I started to cringe a little bit. He's very handsome. I cannot believe that Sheree during her confessional said that he has big D energy. And then Bravo cuts to the bedroom where he's taking off his pants and they literally zoom in on his crotch. I was actually kind of shocked they did that. I was a little shocked. I mean, it's Bravo. I was a little shocked. And that's okay that she told us that. That's amazing. And you can tell she likes him. She likes to be with him. They're very attracted to each other. They seem to like not be able to keep their hands off each other. Like all about Sheree being happy. But the guy does not have a great reputation. I'm not going to get into the reputation in this video, but I think that we all know he doesn't have a great reputation. We find out in this episode also real quick, let me intercede here and also let everyone know in this video, everything is alleged. Of course, please check out my banner below. Everything in this video is alleged. Anyways, Kenya brings up the fact to the ladies that at one point he actually had DM'd her. Now, she didn't respond to the DM because she didn't accept the DM. So when she's with the ladies, when they get together at the Harlem Nights party, it's Kenya. It was Kenya and Moyetta and Kenya. And that's when Kenya brought up the fact that he had DM'd her. And it does seem a little strange that she waited this long to say that he had tried to slide into her DMs, especially because we heard Sheree tell her boyfriend, oh, Kenya will be there. And she's always, she'll be excited to see you because she's always asking about how you're doing. And he kind of got a little like, I don't want to say like huffy puffy, but he kind of got like, well, I ain't never met Kenya. Why is Kenya always asking about how I'm doing? Like, that don't make no sense. I don't even know her, sort of thing. And I kind of felt like he was already on the defense for what was going to happen. So either it was planned and Kenya just kept it in her pocket and didn't tell Sheree because she wanted it for the season, which would be my assumption. Again, all the ladies want a storyline. You know, they want to come with something. Don't come empty handed. So I'm not going to be mad at her for that at all, because for real, she could do a lot worse for a storyline. That's not so bad. Big deal. He said, big deal. If you like that man, you ain't going to care that he DM'd Kenya a while ago or during COVID 2020. You're not going to care. And you can clearly see Sheree doesn't care. Then we also hear rumors that he's linking up with other women in Atlanta. And this time the rumor comes from Kandi and Moyetta. And Moyetta actually calls, I hope I'm saying her name right, and I'm so sorry if I'm not. I'm just going to say Candy's friend from now on. Candy's friend seems very direct. I like that about her. And she calls Sheree over and says, like, how serious are you with this man? Because streets are talking, girl, and this is what they're saying. And you could clearly say that Sheree really did not give any F's at all. We also see an altercation. First of all, we see Kandi and Todd again. It seems they're having some issues in their marriage, learning how to have like time management, time for them as a couple. Her making time for him as a husband, making time for their children. Kandi doesn't look good. I love Kandi, but that doesn't mean that every year, every season, Kandi is going to be 100%. Right? Because we all go through things in life, okay? And I think that we're going to have to give her a little bit of grace this season, because it looks like, you know, I'm not saying that her and Todd are in a bad place or in a bad marriage. I think that you have good times and you have bad times. And sometimes, you know, bad times can last a month. It just depends. I think if you dug really deep, I think if Todd treated her differently, she would probably be amped to be home and be around him maybe a little bit more. Not to say that he's necessarily like non-supportive, but I do think Todd seems very, you know, into what Todd has to do, right? And they have these two beautiful children that they love very, very much. And they seem like wonderful parents. But when you see Kandi and Todd at home, they don't look happy. Kandi didn't look happy when she was getting, you know, she was getting all the kids drinks and their dinners, and she was like singing, I'm too exhausted for this. And it's like, okay, girl, but why don't y'all hire some help? Why don't you hire some help? If it helps you free up your time to play with your kid or see your kid or interact or just cuddle instead of get drinks and get dinner and do dishes and yada yada yada, then spend the money. You know, she should have been sitting with the kids, and somebody else should have been waiting on the kids. Like, that's when I see other housewives doing it, I'm thinking, Kandi, that's what you got to be doing, honey, because you ain't Superwoman. You can't be 3 places at one time. But what you can do is you can delegate things like that. Like, get somebody in your house that you trust. Be willing to pay them, and then you don't got to do all that other stuff when you're exhausted. You can just come home and be exhausted with your family. And that way, if Todd wants to work on his script, he can work on his script, and you can tell him to go F off. I mean, Kenya gives Kandi great sisterly advice when she says you have to make time for your husband. If you want it to work, you have to make time for your husband. Even if your husband isn't necessarily in the right, and even if things aren't necessarily good, you got to make time. So I think that maybe in making time for him, they will make time for each other, which will in return benefit her. Maybe they just need some couples counseling, some direction. They have a lot of pressure. Todd, you know, people still playing on the line that he's an opportunist after all this time. And, you know, like, I feel like Todd pretends like it doesn't bother him, but it does. And, like, I feel like maybe he needs to own that it bothers him so that he can free himself from getting upset about it. Because here's the thing, who cares? Like, you're living good, Todd. You guys got money, you got your kids, you got your health, you got your family, you got a TV show, you're in production, you got cars, you have everything right now. Like, I understand that you have ambitions, right? But, like, have the ambitions to, like, give back instead of make more for yourself that you can't. I mean, what are you going to do with it when you die, right? I don't know. I think it's great to have ambition. But I also think that it cannot be a good thing. It depends on what you stay ambitious about, right? Like, you could have a husband that's ambitious, but maybe he's just ambitious at golf. And you're like, well, oh, he's so ambitious. He practices 5 days a week, and he wants to be a star or whatever. You're like, I love that you have that ambition, but can you like invest that in our children? Or like, I'm not saying them particularly, I'm just saying from my perspective, it seems like I think Kandi would be a little bit more different if she could learn to delegate some of her tasks at home. It's okay to have a nanny. It's okay to have help, especially if you are working a lot. Like, help yourself, help yourself. Um, Todd, a great man, a great dad, a great guy. Like, opportunist, that's the worst they got to call you. Like, man, go get effed while I go hop in my new truck and drive to my Georgia mansion. Like you can't value what other people say about you. You know what I'm saying? And it's been so long. It's been like 10 years. Like, come on. They got 2 kids together at this point. Like, it just sounds ridiculous. And I just thought it was like a low dig right off rip. Okay, so now we have Sheree and her boyfriend kind of sort of on the line with Kandi. Sheree's upset about Kandi does this is it, I don't know what she calls it, but it is funny. Like, nobody can say it's not funny. She impersonates the women. She When they do like a funny scene or something that's out of the ordinary, she will dress up to the T. Everything is to the T. It is set up legit. It looks good. It is funny. So you have to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit in life. Like, come on. You gotta laugh a little bit. So, anyways, I think Sheree was a little bit upset about that. And then there was the issue where her website is shut down. I haven't been on the website for a while. Now, Sheree in her confessional says that's like a great thing. You should be happy that your website crashes because you have so many people that are trying to purchase. And then you have Kandi on the other side saying, look, we tried to help her. We tried to get her in touch with the right people, but she don't want to pay nobody. And so therefore, you're not going to make any money, basically. Maybe Sheree's really not interested in making any money that way. Maybe she has money from other stuff or adventures or her ex or something, and she just doesn't need it. I don't know, because she really doesn't seem like, I think she by Sheree could be banging. She could get the right people doing the right stuff. Even if she wasn't making much money and she was just investing like what was coming in from sales and just turn that back over into it and let other people run it and put your name on it. Something. I think Kandi really sees a business opportunity here, and she sees Sheree sort of just fumbling the ball when it could be something really great and very feasible to pull off. On from Kandi and Todd, Sheree, and we have a new girl who claims that she knows Kandi. They get into an argument at this 40s party, and that's another reason I think that Kandi's not a great place, because she got hot with this girl. Because this girl was kind of, and Kandi at one point was like, I'm about to headbutt this bitch. I was like, we don't really see that from Kandi. So that was another sign that was like, she's under a lot of stress right now. You can tell she's got a lot of stress on her plate. So, and then we have Ralph, who shows up to the 40s party with Ross's 40th birthday party with no Drew. No Drew, because there's family problems at home. And so she didn't come. Isn't that weird? Is it weird that we didn't see a scene from them the whole entire episode? Isn't she a full-time housewife? I'm so confused. And it was clear that Kenya knew where Drew was and why she wasn't there. But of course, somebody has to ask him, right? And she was probably happy to do it, because it sounded like it was more so maybe something had transpired, like maybe they're fighting or something. Just something seemed off with the scene. Did you guys not think that? I know I'm not the only one. We know that Drew and Ralph actually ended up filing for divorce like 3 days after filming stopped in the reunion, maybe. And then production said, no, Mm-mm. Go get your cameras. Go back down to Atlanta. Go back to the Pittman residence. There's getting divorced, and we want to catch everything. So I don't know how those contracts go or what that looks like, but allegedly the cameras are or were back in Atlanta several days after Drew and Ralph filed for divorce. He wrote that book last year too about being a stepdad, and he didn't tell her he was going to write it. Do you guys remember that? He like brought his publicist to like co-sign for everything that he'd already like wrote most of it without her. Like, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I don't know. I hope that they are able to reconcile, see the error of their own ways, and maybe reconcile for their children. I do think that they could end up reconciling just because I think they both do have great intentions, and I think they just have a lot of communication problems, just like everyone else in the world pretty much does, right? Don't we all have a little bit of communication problems? But that's some pretty big communication problems, like a whole book. I would have been so mad about that. Like, not even including her, and it's her oldest son that he's sort of talking about, anyways, because he's like talking about being a stepdad, and then he had talked about adopting the child, and then said he didn't want to adopt the child because the dad, who hasn't been around the child's whole life, said he wasn't sure if he wanted to, relinquish all of his custodial rights for an adoption. It was just crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But like I said, we did get a new girl. I think her name, I want to say it's Constantine. And I don't know if that's right or not. I should have got that right. Sorry, but I didn't. And we didn't talk about Ross and his wife, but it was his 40th birthday party. And she was trying to keep the budget at $40,000. She said it ended up being $100,000. If you know, his wife is like an Olympian 3-time gold. She's very athletic. She was in the Olympics. She's very, very well respected, and pretty big deal she is. Her family was all on her payroll. They all worked for her. They did her hair. They managed her. And that's not an uncommon thing in the industry. You bring your friends along and family along because, one, you can trust them sometimes. And two, because, if you're making the money, if you want and you love your family, you want everyone to get a piece of it. So you get everyone involved. We kind of see this with Teresa Giudice when she's bringing like Gia in, then Gia's getting a paycheck, and if they're filming Louis' sister, or whomever, they're getting a paycheck. So it's a lot like that. But I want to know what you guys thought of the episode, and if you're going to be watching Atlanta, please let me know. I'm excited to be covering it. I thought it was a great episode. Next week we're going to be talking about Old Lady Gang, and there was a alleged pop there with, if you remember, Kandi has a cousin who is younger that she sent to culinary school, and he is like the manager or something there. And so allegedly an employee showed up drunk. They got into an argument. They stepped outside, and the guy shot Kandi's cousin. So we're going to get into all of that, guys, in our next video. But make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. It's super important, and we will talk soon.